Few seconds ago, you saw me in the virtual world. Now I'm right before you in the real world. So welcome to my session about learning for the new age. And I have so we're going to talk about, or we're going to spend some time engaging in a dialogue about learning in the augmented age. So the CEO of ICT Academy, Shiv Kumar, the executives of ICT Academy, and all the architects of modernity don't address you as the principals or the chairpersons or the directors of colleges, but I look at you as the architects, as the makers and the builders and the shapers of future India. That's how I look at all of you. And today this dialogue is about how and what we can do to accelerate growth for our country, to build a future for our country. How can together we make it happen? Before we get there, before we talk about learning for the augmented age, before we talk about what role academia and industry can play or the corporates can play, let's spend a couple of minutes talking about what's happening all around us. What are the industry trends that we are seeing today? It's important to know what's happening around us before we talk about what should be our strategic action. So these are some of the things which are happening around us. We are right now living through the fourth industrial revolution, which is a fusion of technology where the lines between physical, digital, and biological are almost blurred. It's very difficult sometimes to distinguish between physical, digital, and biological. The rise in entrepreneurial spirit, this is the hallmark of our time. Innovation in technology, experiences for customers, which customers never experienced before, business models, all of that is causing disruption. Technology shifting the balance of power, putting knowledge at the center of everything. So that's something which is very, very interesting. Today, power doesn't rest with the rich or the affluent or the influential people. It rests with people who have the knowledge. To give an example, there is a homeopathic doctor in Indore who decided something very interesting and powerful. He somehow figured out that the Facebook Messenger can be a very powerful tool for him to earn a lot of money. So he reached out to his friends, contacts, and so on. And he said, if you have a problem, reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. I would give you prescription on the Messenger for free. If you're happy, if you're satisfied, you pay me. Today this doctor in a small city in the central part of India is earning lakhs of rupees every month just by giving prescriptions through Facebook Messenger, and his patients are there all over the world. So the power shifts to somebody who has knowledge and who knows how he or she can use that knowledge to make it meaningful or profitable. So technology has really made the shift happen. Many industries and products are going to become obsolete very soon. Large organizations are breaking down. Before joining my current company, I was working for a company called Hewlett Packard, and the company 2 years ago got split into three parts: Hewlett Packard Enterprise, HP Inc., and then there was another part which got acquired by CSC, and so on. So large organizations are breaking down. Large structures are melting away. Hierarchical structure in organizations are breaking down, organizations becoming flat, And we are living through times of accelerated change. Only thing that's constant today is change, but change always happened. Change was there in the past as well. But what's important about change today is the pace at which change is happening, the speed at which change is happening. It's the accelerated change that's really disrupting. So these are the industry trends that we get to see. This is what is happening all around us. Now let's see what's happening at the workplace. This is important because all of you are producing the workforce of the future. So it's important for you to know what's happening at the workplace. A lot of interesting stuff that's happening out there. The makeup of the workforce is changing. More than 50% of the workforce will be millennials by 2020. And some predictions are even more than close to 75% of the workforce would be millennials. The workforce would include full-time employees, part-time employees, contract employees, and employees working for multiple employers at the same time. So the concept of employer loyalty will go away. You would have people who would work for multiple organizations at the same time. So the workforce composition is going to be very interesting. People from different culture, background, sexual orientation, etc., will be part of this workforce. With life expectancy on the rise globally, senior employees will work longer, delaying their retirement. That's another interesting trend that you see. And Kumar was talking about, all of us probably will live for 150 years in future. So you can imagine what's going to happen. We're going to see high unemployment on one hand and acute talent on the other side. So find loads of people who are jobless. At the same time, you'll also find jobs remaining vacant, positions remaining empty. So organizations will be looking for talent on one hand, but there'll be lots of people who are jobless. Many professionals will face mid-career crisis. So professionals like me and many of us, we will face a mid-career crisis. With demand for niche skills increasing, employee retention would become a major challenge. The person who has the skills, the king. The demand for talent, the talent war will actually pick up pace. Men and machines would work at the same workplace. So we always knew that men worked at the workplace. We also, with automation coming in, we saw robotics, etc., taking over the jobs that men need to do. But in organizations, we'll find in the same workflow, parts of the workflow is managed by men and parts of the workflow is managed by machines. And this will make it interesting for HR professionals like us to manage both men and machines at the same time. People managers have always managed people, they've never managed machines. But they're going to now manage men and machines. When I say men, I mean both men and women, by the way. So men and machine will work at the same pace. Men would work for 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Machines will work for 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So that blend is going to be extremely challenging for people, professionals, talent professionals, HR professionals to manage that. Workforce today is global, virtual, mobile, on the go, spread across countries and cultures. The concept of 9 to 5 working hours will disappear. So these are the trends of the workplace. This is what is changing the workplace. So we talked about the trend. We talked about what's happening. We talked about what's changing. Now let's look at the opportunity. Opportunities are plenty. Pretty much half the population in India is under 25. The Honorable Chairman of the Higher Education Department is talking about it. 10 to 19 age group. There are 226 million youngsters who are poised to enter higher education. Great opportunities for all of you, ladies and gentlemen. 226 million young boys and girls are ready to get into higher education. They're in the age group of 10 to 19. We are a young nation. By 2020, the average population in Japan is going to be 47. In China, it's going to be 40 plus. In Europe, it's 46. US, the average age of the population is going to be 40. You know what's it going to be in India? 29. Great opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. By 2020, India would have 160 million people in the age group of 20 to 24. China will have about 94 million. US, which takes pride in being a young nation, will be 17 million short of the people they would need at the workplace. Education in India is a national security issue. And why is it so? Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't educate the millions of youngsters that we talked about, this is going to become a national security. They would pick up crime. If you don't educate them, what are they going to do? They will take stabbing, terrorism, crime, and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have an option but to educate the millions of young boys and girls who are ready to join higher education. If we don't take the responsibility of educating, then we have a national security issue. Kumar was talking about going to prisons and trying to reform prison inmates by giving them employment opportunities. That's a great service to the society. But that's after they have turned criminal. But if you don't educate our youngsters, they're going to turn criminal. You don't have an option, ladies and gentlemen, and you have a great opportunity lying ahead of you if you really want to make a difference. Now let's come to what we can do together. We have a problem at this point in time, and every forum that we walk into, they talk about industry, academia, collaboration, how can they work together. Some of us represent industry, many of you represent academia, and we have been trying to bring about some kind of, collaboration, synergy so that we can, work together. But what's the current reality today? Are we friendly siblings or we are siblings? This is what it looks like, that we are probably not looking at each other. We're not seeing eye to eye. We are not really making constructive, significant, meaningful efforts to bridge the gap. But if you don't bridge the gap, future will not forgive us. We cannot continue to remain estranged siblings. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are the challenges today, especially from an academia perspective? Lots of challenges. Only 7% of the professionals or the professional graduates who pass out of India's engineering colleges, these schools, etc., are employed. I'm not saying this. Don't get me wrong that I represent industry and then I can always find fault with academia. That's not my intent. This is what research, this is what all the survey findings tell us. Only 7% of the people who pass out of educational institutions in our country are employable. The clearing 93% of the people are not. That's the challenge. Engineering colleges, these schools, many of them are closing down. We have enough data, enough statistics. Last year alone, we had hundreds of engineering colleges that got shut down. There's a major shift that's happening from qualification to skill. All your skill-based education programs are going to pose a very big threat to professional qualification providers like the engineering colleges or the BC, because today industry is looking at skills, not qualification. Google, E&Y recently, and various other organizations have announced that we are not going to look at qualification as a criteria for recruitment. They have announced that they don't see any clear linkage between qualification and actual performance. So they say we don't have to say what matters is meritocracy, what matters to us is talent, what matters to us is skills. If we find a candidate who has the right skills, we don't care. So while we talked about opportunities, it's also important to look at. Unless you look at the challenges, we'll not really be in a position to deal with it. Let's do a bit of a deep dive into the challenges and understand why we have the challenges. These are some of the challenges our academia facing today, our educational institutions facing today. Lack of quality faculty members. The best, the most talented ones are not getting into academics. They're looking at professions which are more lucrative, more high paying, or better paying, etc. So that's the big challenge. Curriculum is not keeping pace. Technology is changing very fast. Business models are changing and evolving at a phenomenal fast pace. Our curriculum is not able to keep pace. The cycle time to design, develop, test, and deploy new curriculum very, very long. And technology is, we are not able to keep pace with the changes that are happening all around. Lack of research and academics. Sarath talked about it. Academia producing large number of graduates with knowledge, but industry needs skills. The gap between knowing and doing significantly huge. Lack of motivation in taking risks. MBA preparation industry is larger than MBA industry. So there are the coaching centers which are preparing students to get into MBA colleges. That's a bigger industry than the MBA industry itself. So this is a bit of a deep dive into what's happening, the challenges. Do you know these gentlemen? What's common between all of them? None of them has an MBA. Well, you might probably curse me or beat me up for making a statement like this, but that's reality. They don't have a professional degree, but probably they had something which we are not enabling our youngsters with. Probably they had some attributes which our youngsters are not learning in the education system, and they had this attribute. They have the ability and desire to think, to take risks. They have the desire and ability and the appetite to deal with failure. They have the ability to deal with ambiguity, ability to tolerate frustration of ambiguity, ability to influence. They have the emotional intelligence. They have empathy. They have fearlessness. They have collaboration. They have the ability to solve problems. They have the ability to connect the dots. And we don't empower our students with these skills in our educational institution. We give them the best of knowledge in accounting, supply chain, international business, strategy, human resources, or the best of emerging technologies, including cloud computing, AI, AR and VR, and so on. But they're not enough to become successful. What's important are so what we can do differently. What is the I don't know. or is it an indication that it's time for me? Or it's almost. It is. Not. Can you help? You can move it manually if the slide changer is not working. Okay. So now, in the interest of time, what can we do different? What are your thoughts? We need to really start thinking differently. The traditional approach of education, the conventional approach of attracting talent into our educational institutions, preparing them in the traditional way, and trying to get them ready for the industry, and then the industry says only 7% of them are employable. Big challenge. So we really have to look at it differently. We have to step up the game. This is what we have to do. And we have to make sure that our curriculum becomes, we bring experience into our learning program. Our curriculum today is absolutely theoretical, conceptual. It lacks real life experience. We'll have to bring experience into our curriculum, expose the students to real experience. All of you are academic experts. You know, you're familiar with the 70-20-10 principle. Only 10% of learning happens through formal education. 20% of learning comes through socialization, networking, coaching, mentoring, etc. 70% of learning happens through experience. But our education system, our curriculum is largely focused on conceptual, theoretical learning, which caters to only the 10% of learning that happens in our education system today. We have to shift the gear, see how we make learning experience. Create a self environment, give opportunity to people to fail. Don't penalize people for failing. Reward them for trying, experiment. Change your thinking. Like Kumar was saying, the machine told him that the device is ready to pair up. To shift the mindset, we need to bring about that paradigm shift. Multidisciplinary education, that's absolutely important. Today, if medical colleges are producing doctors, it's not enough for a doctor to become a good surgeon. It's also important for the doctor to understand technology. Because inside the operation theater, the doctor is going to use sophisticated machines. That's important. Today, I think a scientist in Google has discovered. It says time is up, so I'll try and wrap up quickly. A scientist in Google has invented a device which actually can read this device can read the retina of your eyes and predict if a person will have cancer in the next 6 months. Good blend of technology. The person who has invented this, of course, understands technology, and he also understands medicine. He also understands, our human anatomy. So this is the age of multiple specialties. Is our education system providing multiple specialties to our students? Students of economics needs to understand technology. Students of technology needs to understand business. Students of medicine needs to understand IT, and so on. Our educational system should become multidisciplinary education system. Faculty members having a stint in the industry. Can you send your faculty members, ask them to go to a corporate or go to a social setting and lead projects there, try and solve problems. Accountability, measurable metrics for academics. What is the metrics of success? What are the measurements that you have within the organization? How do you hold yourself accountable for the success? What measurements that you have in place? This is how we can step up the game. And that's possible when you and us start collaborating. When you and us become friendly and caring siblings. If you continue to remain estranged siblings, this is not going to solve the problem. While you agree and decide to step up the game, the industry has to come forward and they say that we are going to partner with you. Unless that happens, we cannot drive this change. And as we begin our journey towards excellence, we can see two paths leading in two different directions. One leads to mediocrity, another leads to excellence. Which path we want to take, the choice is ours. That's our choice. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will have to make our choice whether we want to take the path that leads to mediocrity, average performance, average outcomes, or we take the path which leads to excellence. Unfortunately, there is no third path. There is just two. We have to choose one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is ours. Which path that we want to take? Have you decided? If not, this is our time. Before I finish, I would like to quote a very famous spiritual guide, Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. And this is what he has said, very profound and powerful about education. Systemic organization of habits and instinct with the purpose of fulfilling the becoming of life by a graduated active manipulation of behavior may be called education. This is the true meaning of education. Let's pause for a moment, think about it, and then see, are we really trying to do this? Are we really trying to actively manipulate, organize the habits and instincts of our individuals by trying to bring about changes in their behavior? If you're not doing it, you're not providing education. I would like to stop here with this profound thoughts by Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra and wish you all the best as you decide to choose one of the two paths that I talked about. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.